You ever wake up from a nightmare, heart pounding, certain the explosion was real? Certain you just felt the heat on your face? Then you open your eyes, and it's just your ceiling fan. Just your heartbeat in the dark. Now imagine that nightmare has a timer. A countdown. And every single night it gets 3 minutes shorter. I'm Staff Sergeant Maya Cross. And for the last 6 months, I've been dreaming the same mission. Same dust. Same voices. Same device ticking down from midnight to nothing. Because I always wake up before 0. But last night the timer didn't reset. It kept counting. And this morning, my team started humming the same song I heard in the dream. That's when I knew the mission wasn't in my head anymore. The first time I heard the beeping, I was elbow deep in a broken Humvee transmission, and the Afghan sun was trying to melt my brain through my helmet. Cross. You good? That was Hernandez. My driver. My shadow. A 6'4" wall of sarcasm and loyalty who could field strip a machine gun blindfolded but couldn't boil water without setting off the fire alarm. He was leaning over the engine bay, squinting at me like I'd just grown a second head. I blinked. The beeping was gone. Fine, I said. Just tired. He didn't buy it. Hernandez never bought anything. That's why he was still alive. You've been staring at that same bolt for 4 minutes. You try to weld it with your mind. I wiped grease on my pants and forced a grin. Maybe. Meditation and mechanics. Next level. He snorted. Next level crazy. But he handed me a water bottle anyway. Warm. Plastic tasting. Best thing I'd tasted all week. That was the thing about FOB Shinden in July. Nothing worked right. The AC in the barracks blew dust instead of cold air. The chow hall ran out of hot sauce every Tuesday like clockwork. And the IED threat had gone from bad to every patch of dirt wants to kill you. We lost 2 vehicles last month. 3 good soldiers. One of them was my best friend, and I still saw her face every time I closed my eyes. But I didn't tell Hernandez that. You don't dump that on your team. You smile. You fix the truck. You move. Except lately, moving was getting harder. Because the dreams had started. Not nightmares, exactly. Nightmares you wake up from and think, thank God that wasn't real. These were different. These felt like memory. Like something that hadn't happened yet, but was already carved into my bones. It was always the same. I'm standing in a village I've never seen. Mud brick walls. A dry well. The smell of goat and cordite. My team is behind me. Hernandez on my 6, Patel on the drone feed, Kowalski on the breach. I can feel their weight. Their breathing. The static in my earpiece. And there's a device. It's small. Gray. Strapped to a support beam inside a room I can't enter because the door is wired. I can see it through a crack in the wall. A digital timer. Red numbers. Counting up from 0. 0 hours. 0 minutes. 0 seconds. But it doesn't stop at 0. It keeps going. Negative numbers. -1. -2. Like it's counting something already gone. Something we already lost. And then I wake up. Every night for 2 weeks. Same village. Same timer. Same sour taste of dread on my tongue. I didn't tell the doc. Didn't tell my CO. You tell them you're dreaming about missions, they pull you off rotation. And I wasn't leaving my team. Not now. Now when we were 3 days out from Operation Ghost Harvest, a sweep through the Tangi Valley, where intel said a high-value target was hiding. So I drank more coffee, pushed harder on PT, and ignored the fact that the beeping I heard in my dreams was starting to follow me into the day. The night before the op, I couldn't sleep. I lay on my cot in the dark, listening to Kowalski snore like a chainsaw and Patel whispering to his wife on the sat phone. The air was thick, sticky, the kind of heat that sits on your chest and reminds you how far you are from anywhere that matters. I closed my eyes, and the dream changed. This time, I wasn't outside the room. I was inside, standing right in front of the device. The timer read -3 minutes and 17 seconds. Counting backward. 3 minutes, 17 seconds until what? I reached for it. My hand went through the plastic like smoke. That's not how you disarm it, Staff Sergeant. Spoon. She was sitting in the corner. A woman in Afghan dress, but her face was young. American young. Brown eyes. A scar across her left eyebrow. She was holding a cup of chai like we were old friends. Who are you? You know who I am. She took a sip. You just haven't remembered yet. I woke up gasping. My heart was slamming against my ribs. My hands were shaking, and my watch was counting backward. 3 minutes and 12 seconds. 3 minutes and 11 seconds. I slapped it. The screen flickered, then went back to normal time. 7 hours. Nothing unusual, but I knew what I saw. The next morning, I gathered my team in the maintenance bay. The sun wasn't up yet. The sky was that bruised purple color that makes Afghanistan look almost beautiful before it tries to kill you. Hernandez was cleaning his rifle. Kowalski was doing pull-ups on exposed pipe. Patel was already on his laptop, running the pre-mission drone diagnostics. And Doc Evans, our soft-spoken medic who could stitch an artery while telling a dad joke, was repacking his aid bag for the 4th time. I stood in front of them and felt the weight of what I was about to say. Anyone else been having weird dreams? Kowalski dropped from the pipe. Define weird. Repeating. Detailed. Involving the mission. Patel looked up from his screen. His glasses were fogged with dust. Staff Sergeant, with respect, I dreamed last night that the chow hall served actual bacon. That's as detailed as my brain gets. Hernandez didn't laugh. He was watching me with those dark, steady eyes that missed nothing. What kind of dreams, Cross? I told them. Not everything. Not the woman or the backward timer. But the village. The device. The feeling that time was running out even when the clock said 0. When I finished, Doc Evans was the first to speak. Stress dreams are common before major op. Your brain is processing threat scenarios. It's a survival mechanism. It's not stress, I said. It's too specific. Last night, the timer was at -3 minutes. And there was someone else in the room. A woman. She said I already knew her. Silence. Kowalski cracked his knuckles. So what's the play? You want us to pull the op? No. I said it faster than I meant to. We go. But we stay sharp. We check every room twice. And if anything feels off, anything, we abort. Understood? They nodded. One by one. Not because they believed me. Because they trusted me. That's the difference between a team and a squad. Trust isn't about agreeing. It's about moving together even when you don't. At 0500, we rolled out. 3 vehicles. 12 soldiers. A route that took us through 2 villages across a dry riverbed and into the mouth of the Tangi Valley. The briefing said to expect light resistance. The briefings always say that. I was in the lead Humvee behind the .50 Cal with Hernandez driving. The sun was up now, hammering the dust into a golden haze. The air smelled like diesel and dry earth. My hands were steady on the gun, but my mind kept drifting back to the timer. -3 minutes. What happens at 0? We hit the first village at 0715. Name was Chark. 40 or 50 mud brick compounds, narrow alleys, the kind of place where every window could hide an RPG. The locals were already outside, watching us with those flat, unreadable expressions that civilians or when soldiers roll through. Not hostile, not welcoming, just present. I keep my mic. Patel, what's the drone seeing? Heat signatures consistent with morning activity. No obvious tagging. But there's something weird. Define weird. There's a compound at the north end. No movement. No combs. But the thermal signature is off. Like someone lined the walls with something non-organic. Cold went down my spine. Hernandez. Take us north. The alley narrowed. Walls closed in. Kids ran alongside the Humvee, laughing, throwing stones. I scanned roofs, doorways, windows. Nothing. 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 Then I saw it. A compound with a faded blue door. A dry well in front. A support beam visible through a crack in the wall. Exactly like the dream. My hand shot up. Hold. Everyone hold. Hernandez stopped the vehicle. Cross. I was out the door before he finished my name. M4 up. Sweat burning my eyes. The dream was so loud in my head I could hear the beeping. Beep. 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 Cross, talk to me. Hernandez was behind me now. Kowalski on the flank. Patel's voice in my ear. Staff Sergeant, I'm picking up an electronic signature from that compound. Low frequency. Rhythmic. The beeping. It's a timer, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. There's a device inside. Gray casing. Digital display. Counting from 0 to negative. Silence on the net. Then, Kowalski, how the hell do you know that? I didn't answer. I was already moving toward the door. Hernandez grabbed my vest. Wait, we need to call EOD. There's no time. I pointed at my watch. The digits were flickering again. 2 minutes and 44 seconds. If we wait, we lose. Lose what? I looked at him. Really looked. He was scared. Not for himself. For me. For the team. For the possibility that their leader had finally cracked. Maybe I had. But the beeping was real. I pushed through the door. The room was exactly like the dream. Dusty. Empty. A single support beam in the center. And strapped to it, wrapped in tape and wires, was the device. Gray casing. Digital display. Minus 0 Uhr 2 Minuten und 17 Sekunden. And counting. Patel, I need a feed. Can you see this? Negative. Your signal is breaking up. But I'm recording everything from the drone. Cross, that device, I've never seen a signature like this. It's not transmitting. It's not receiving. It's just counting. Counting down to what? I knelt in front of it. The wires were colored wrong. Red where white should be. Blue twisted around black. Someone had built this with intentional confusion. Someone who knew a standard EOD protocol wouldn't work. My hands are shaking. Minus 0 Uhr 1 Minute und 54 Sekunden. Cross, we need back out. Hernandez was at the door. We can secure the perimeter and wait for no. I heard my voice as if from far away. I've seen this before. In a dream. Yes. He didn't say anything. He just raised his rifle and covered the windows. I reached for the device. This time my hand didn't go through. The plastic was warm. Almost hot. I traced the wires back to their source. The pattern wasn't random. It was mirrored, left to right, like someone had built a bomb while looking in a reflection. Minus 0 Uhr 1 Minute und 12 Sekunden. The woman, I whispered. She said I knew her. What woman? Patel's voice was tight. The one in the dream. She was sitting in this room, drinking chai. She had a scar on her left eyebrow. No, her right. Wait. I closed my eyes. Remembered. The scar was on her left. But if I was looking in a mirror, it's a mirror bomb, I said. The wiring is reversed. The timer counts backward because the trigger is time already passed. If I cut the red wire, it detonates. If I cut the blue, same. The only way to disarm it is to do nothing. That makes no sense, Kowalski said. It makes perfect sense. I opened my eyes. Someone built this specifically for me. Someone who knows how I think. Someone who knows I always act. Minus 0 Uhr 0 Minuten und 37 Sekunden. I didn't cut any wires. I sat down cross-legged in the dust. I put my hands in my lap. And I waited. Hernandez said my name. Patel said it. Kowalski swore. I just watched the timer. Minus 0 Uhr 0 Minuten und 21 Sekunden. Minus 0 Uhr 0 Minuten und 11 Sekunden. Minus 0 Uhr 0 Minuten und 3 Sekunden. 0. The beeping stopped. The display went dark. And then, very quietly, the device opened. Not exploded. Not beeped. Just clicked open like a jewelry box. Inside was a photograph. A woman. Brown eyes. Scar on her left eyebrow. Holding a cup of chai. And handwritten on the back in my own handwriting. You already saved us, Maya. You just haven't done it yet. I stared at the words. Then I looked at my watch. The flickering had stopped. The display was steady. Normal. But the time was wrong. It said June 15th, 2026. Today was June 12th, 2026. 3 days from now. Patel, I said slowly. What's the date? A pause. June 12th. You good, Staff Sergeant? Yeah. I stood up, slipped the photo into my pocket. I'm good. But I wasn't. Because I knew that handwriting. I knew that scar. The woman in the photo was me. We swept the rest of the village in 45 minutes. No weapons cache. No achuvete. Nothing but dust and goats and that one impossible compound with the timer that accounted backward and then stopped. My team didn't ask questions on the way back to the FOB. That's another thing about good soldiers. They know when to push and when to let silence do its job. Hernandez kept his eyes on the road. Kowalski cleaned imaginary dust off his rifle. Doc Evans checked the same vitals 3 times. Patel was the only one who spoke. I pulled the drone footage from that compound. And nothing. The thermal signature showed you entering. Then static. Then you leaving 17 seconds later. It felt longer. I'm sure it did. He didn't say because you were having a psychotic break. But he didn't have to. I heard it anyway. Back at base, I skipped the debrief. Told the CO we found a suspicious device, and EOD was handling it. That was a lie. I had the device in my pack, the photo in my pocket, and a headache that felt like someone was drilling a hole in my left temple. I locked myself in the supply closet, sat on a box of MREs, pulled out the photo again. Me, older, thinner, a scar I didn't have yet, and that handwriting. You already saved us, Maya. Us. Not me. Us. Who else was in the photo? I turned it over, studied the background. A room I didn't recognize. Concrete walls. A metal table. On the table, A chessboard with 3 pieces left. White king, black queen, black pawn. My mother taught me chess. She always said, the queen is the strongest piece, but the pawn is the one that changes everything. It just has to reach the other side. I put the photo away, splashed water on my face, and walked to the comms tent to call battalion intel. The intel officer was a guy named Captain West. Ivy League. Perfect teeth. The kind of officer who'd never been shot at, but could quote counterinsurgency doctrine in his sleep. He listened to my report with the patient smile of someone humoring a crazy person. A timer that counted backward, he said. A photo of yourself. A date 3 days in the future. Yes. Staff Sergeant, have you considered that you might be experiencing a stress-related episode? Have you considered that I might be experiencing a message from my future self? He blinked. That threw him. Officers don't expect sergeants to talk about time travel. They expect them to talk about ammo counts and patrol routes. I'll make a note in your file, he said. But unless you have actionable intelligence, I can't. The Tangi Valley Op Ghost Harvest. Who's the target? He hesitated. That's never a good sign. Why? Because my future self knows something. And if we go in blind, we're going to lose people. West leaned back, studied me, then sighed. The target is a man named Saeed Rahman. He's a mid-level facilitator, routes money and supplies from Pakistan to the northern provinces. We've been tracking him for 6 months. Ghost Harvest is designed to capture him alive. What's his connection to IEDs? Standard. He buys components, moves them through the valley. No, I said. I mean, what's his personal connection? Does he build them himself? Does he have a signature? West frowned. Why does that matter? Because the device I found today wasn't standard. It was personalized. Someone built it to mess with my head. Someone who knows me. That's not a facilitator. That's a specialist. West pulled up a file on his tablet. Scrolled. Stopped. His face went pale. What? I said. Rahman had a brother. Name was Tariq. He was an electronics engineer. Studied in London. Specialized in counter-timer devices. Things that detect and confuse EOD protocols. He was killed 3 years ago. Drone strike. The intel says Rahman blamed the Americans. Personally, where was the drone strike? West checked the file. A compound outside Chark. I closed my eyes. Chark. The village we just swept. The compound with the blue door and the dry well. The same compound where I'd found the timer. He's not moving supplies, I said. He's hunting us. One by one. He builds devices specifically for the soldiers who killed his brother. West didn't argue. He just looked at the date on the file. June 15th. 3 days from now. The same date on my watch. Ghost Harvest is scheduled for June 15th, he said quietly. I know. You're saying Rahman knows we're coming. I'm saying he's counting on it. That night, I gathered my team in the maintenance bay again. No pretense this time. No small talk. I laid out everything. The dreams, the timer, the photo, the connection to Rahman. I showed them the handwriting, the chess pieces in the background. Kowalski was the first to break the silence. So you're from the future, like the Terminator, but with less leather. I'm not saying I'm from the future. I'm saying something is bleeding through. Dreams. Time slips. I don't know, but the date on that photo is the same date as Ghost Harvest. And if we go in blind, we're going to lose people. Ooh, Hernandez's voice was flat, controlled. The voice of a man who was already calculating angles. I don't know, but the woman in the photo, the future me, she wrote us. Not them. Us. She saved us. Which means in her timeline, she didn't. Doc Evans folded his arms. So what's the plan? Cancel the op. We can't. Battalion's already committed. If we back out now, Rahman vanishes. We'll never get another chance. Then we go, Patel said. But we go different. We use the intel from your dreams to adjust the plan. Hernandez shook his head. That's not how military ops work. We can't just say Staff Sergeant had a vision and change the entire battle plan. Then, we don't tell Battalion, I said. We adjust on the ground. Small changes. Routes. Breach points. Timing. Rahman thinks he knows our playbook. We get him a different one. Kowalski grinned. It was not a nice grin. So we're doing a stealth rewrite of a battalion-level operation. What's the worst that could happen? Court-martial, Doc said. Or we all die, Patel added. Or that. Kowalski shrugged. I've had worse Tuesdays. That was the moment I knew we were going to be okay. Not because we had a good plan. Because we had each other. And because somewhere in a future I couldn't see, I'd already done this. Already saved them. Already written that note. I just had to figure out how. The next 2 days were a blur of prep work and stolen hours of sleep. I didn't dream. Not once. It was like the timer had gone silent because I'd finally listened. But the silence was worse than the beeping. At least when I was dreaming, I knew something was coming. Now I just had the photograph, the chess pieces, and a growing certainty that the future me wasn't trying to warn me about the bomb. She was trying to warn me about something else. The night before the op, I couldn't sleep again. I sat on my cot and stared at the photo. The background, concrete walls, metal table, chessboard. But this time I noticed something new. There was a door in the background, slightly ajar, and through the crack I could see a window. The window looked out on a city skyline. Not Kandahar, not Kabul. The buildings were too tall, too modern, glass and steel. I was somewhere else, someone else. And that meant the note wasn't about Ghost Harvest. It was about something after. Patel. I was at his bunk before I knew I'd stood up. He was awake, reading a book by headlamp. Always reading. The guy went through 3 novels a week. Staff Sergeant. The drone footage from Chark. You said there was static when I entered the compound. Yeah, 17 seconds of white noise. Can you analyze it? See if there's any pattern? He gave me a look. I'm a drone operator, not an NSA cryptologist. Humor me. He sighed, pulled out his laptop, opened the file. The audio waveform looked like a flat line with one spike, 17 seconds of nothing. But then he filtered it, removed the low frequencies, boosted the highs, and there it was. A voice. Faint, scrambled, but definitely a voice. Speaking English. Play it again, I said. He did. And again. On the third pass, I could make out the words. The pawn reaches the other side. But it doesn't become a queen. It becomes a clock. My blood went cold. My mother's chess lesson. The pawn that changes everything. But she never said anything about a clock. That's not from the drone, Patel said slowly. That's from your radio. Your personal channel. Someone was broadcasting to you inside that compound. Ooh, I don't know. But the frequency is military encrypted. Tier 1. Only battalion-level assets have access. I sat down heavily on the edge of his cot. My mind was racing. If Rahman had access to Tier 1 encryption, this wasn't a standard IED cell. This was someone inside. Someone with clearance. Someone who knew my schedule. My team. My dreams. Ghost Harvest isn't a capture mission, I said. It's a trap. And we're not the targets. Who is? I looked at the photo again. The future me. The city skyline. Us, I said. All of us. Someone wants the whole team. And they've been setting this up for months. Patel's face was pale in the glow of his laptop. Then we call off the op. We go to the CO. We tell him everything. And say what? That I'm getting radio transmissions from the future? That a bomb told me not to trust battalion. When you say it like that, it sounds crazy. Because it is crazy. I stood up. But crazy doesn't mean wrong. Tomorrow, we follow the plan. But we stay together. No matter what. If anyone gets separated, we regroup at the well. The dry well in Chark. You remember it. The one from the dream. Yeah. I touched the photo in my pocket. That's where I saved you the first time. And that's where I'll save you again. I walked back to my cot. Lay down. Stared at the ceiling. And for the first time in weeks, I didn't close my eyes. I watched the minutes tick by on my watch. June 15th. 0400 hours. Ghost Harvest. The beeping started again. But this time it was real. The beeping was my alarm. 15 minutes until final gear check. 2 hours until wheels up. I hadn't slept, but I didn't feel tired. I felt like a wire pulled too tight. Like the moment before a storm breaks. I splashed water on my face. Checked my rifle. My plate carrier. My aid kit. The photo was still in my pocket, folded small. I didn't know why I was bringing it. Maybe for luck. Maybe because the future me had wanted me to have it. Maybe because I was already starting to forget her face. Hernandez was waiting by the vehicles. He had that pre-mission stillness, the kind where a man becomes a machine. No yokes, no vanter, just cold readiness. You look like shit, he said. Thanks. You too. He almost smiled. Patel rerouted the drone flight path. We'll have coverage on the north ridge instead of the south. Kowalski repacked the breaching charges. Smaller loads. Faster deployment. Doc added 2 extra tourniquets to everyone's kit. Good. And I loaded a personal round in the chamber. I looked at him. For Rahman, he said, if it comes down to capture or kill, I'm not taking chances. I didn't argue. That was the difference between a leader and a manager. A manager follows the rules. A leader knows when the rules will get people killed. The convoy rolled at 0615. 3 vehicles, 12 soldiers. Same as before. Except now I knew we were driving into a trap. And the only advantage we had was a dream and a photograph. We reached the mouth of the Tangi Valley at 0730. The sun was higher now, burning off the morning haze. The mountains on either side were brown and brutal. No cover, no mercy. If someone wanted to ambush us, this was the place. Patel, what's the drone seeing? 3 vehicles on the valley floor. Local traffic, maybe. No weapons visible. But there's something at the 7 o'clock ridge. Heat source. Stationary. Could be a spotter. Keep watching it. We pushed forward. The valley narrowed. The walls grew steeper. My hands were sweating inside my gloves. Beep. I froze. Not a dream. Not a memory. A real beep. Coming from my vest. I reached into my pocket. Pulled out the photo. The handwriting had changed. Don't take the left fork. I stared at it. The ink was wet. Fresh. Like someone had written it seconds ago. Hernandez. Stop the convoy. He hit the brakes. What's wrong? I held up the photo. He looked at it. His face went gray. Patel, I said into the mic, what's down the left fork? A pause. The original route. Why? Take the right fork. Now. That adds 20 minutes. We'll lose the window for the capture. I don't care. Right fork. Go. The convoy turned. Dust billowed. The left fork disappeared behind a ridge. 30 seconds later, the left fork exploded. The blast was huge. A column of fire and black smoke that rose 100 feet in the air. The shockwave hit us a heartbeat later. A punch to the chest that rattled my teeth. IED, Kowalski said. Vehicle borne. Maybe 2 or 3 tons. That wasn't an IED, Hernandez said quietly. That was a welcome mat. I looked at the photo again. The ink was fading now, disappearing like it had never been there. But the words were burned into my brain. Don't take the left fork. Someone was helping me. Someone who knew the future. Someone who was rewriting it in real time. But who? We took the right fork. The valley opened up into a wider basin. The village of Nawabad. 40 compounds. A maze of alleys and rooftops. The drone showed no movement, which meant either everyone was hiding or everyone was dead. Patel, thermal, multiple signatures inside the compounds. Not civilians. Too many heat sources in one place. Could be fighters. Could be a trap. Could be. I made a decision. We dismount here. Split into 2 teams. Alpha, Hernandez, Kowalski, Evans with me. Bravo, Sergeant Miller, take the south perimeter. We clear compound by compound. No heroics. No solo entries. Every room get a flashbang and a 2-man breach. Miller's voice came back. Copy. South perimeter. On your signal. I looked at my team. Hernandez. Kowalski. Document. 3 people I trusted more than anyone alive. Let's go. We moved through the village like ghosts. Room to room. Door to door. The silence was wrong. No dogs, no birds, no children. Just the crunch of our boots on gravel and the distant crackle of the drone feed in my earpiece. Beep. The photo again. New words. 3rd compound. Blue door. He's waiting. I held it up for Hernandez. He nodded. No questions. No doubts. We found the blue door at the end of a narrow alley. The paint was fresh. The handle was warm. Someone had been here recently. Kowalski breach. He placed the charge. We stepped back. Covered our ears. The door blew inward. We went through the smoke like sharks. M4S up. Lasers painting the darkness. The room was empty, except for a table. A chessboard. White king. Black queen. Black pawn. And a man. He was sitting in a corner, just like the woman in my dream. But he wasn't drinking chai. He was holding a detonator. Staff Sergeant Cross. His voice was calm, almost friendly. I was wondering when you'd arrive. Ramon, older than the file photo. Thinner. His eyes were the same flat brown as every other man I'd seen in this country. Unreadable, unknowable, ancient. Put down the detonator, I said. Or what? You'll shoot me? That would be a shame. I'm the only one who knows how to disarm the device in the basement. My blood went cold. What device? The same one you found in Chark. Except this one is bigger. And it's wired to a cell tower 3 clicks away. If I die, it detonates. If you arrest me, it detonates. If you breathe wrong, it detonates. He smiled. The only way to stop it is to let me walk. Hernandez's rifle didn't waver. We can call EOD. EOD will take 40 minutes to get here. The device is set for 20. Ramon stood up slowly. You see, Sergeant, I've been studying you. Your tactics, your patterns, your dreams. My stomach dropped. What did you say? Oh yes, I know about the dreams. They're not magic, you know. They're technology. A low-frequency transmitter embedded in the water supply at your base. It synchronizes with your REM cycles, feeds you images, makes you think you're seeing the future. He tilted his head. But you're not seeing the future, Maya. You're seeing what I want you to see. The photo, the timer, the woman with the scar. You, I whispered. You're the one who sent the messages. Some of them. The bomb and shark was mine. The timer, the backward count, the photograph, all designed to make you doubt yourself. To make your team doubt you. To isolate you. But the messages on the photo, the ones that saved us. The left fork. Ramon's smile faltered. Just for a second. That was not me. Then he didn't answer. He just looked at the chessboard. The black queen. The white king. Someone else is playing this game, he said quietly. Someone who knows more than I do. Beep. I pulled out the photo. New words. One line. The pawn. Now. I looked at the chessboard. The black pawn. The only piece that could change everything. I picked it up. Ramon's eyes went wide. No, don't. The detonator fell from his hand. His body went rigid. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. And then he collapsed. Doc Evans was already moving, kneeling beside him, checking his pulse. He's alive, but his heart is, I don't know. It's like someone hit a switch. I looked at the pawn in my hand. It was warm, vibrating slightly, and then it spoke. Not aloud. In my head, the same voice from the drone static. The same words. The pawn reaches the other side. It becomes a clock. The room shifted. Not physically, but time. I felt it stretch and bend like someone was pulling taffy. Hernandez froze mid-step. Kowalski's rifle stopped in midair. Doc's hands hovered over Ramon's chest, unmoving. Everything stopped, except me, and the woman standing in the doorway. She was older than me, thinner. Her face was lined with grief and something else, something that looked like hope. She wore the same uniform I wore, but the patches were different. A unit I didn't recognize. A rank I hadn't earned yet. You're me, I said. I was you. She stepped closer. I'm what you become if you make the wrong choice today. What choice? She pointed at Ramon's frozen body. He's telling the truth about the device in the basement. It's real, and it's set to detonate in, she glanced at her watch, 18 minutes. If you let him go, he walks free. He builds more bombs. More soldiers die, but the device doesn't explode. And if I stop him, if you stop him, the device explodes. Everyone in this village dies, including your team. Her voice cracked. In my timeline, you chose to stop him. You saved the future. But you lost everything here. I looked at Hernandez. Frozen. Trusting me. Kowalski, who'd never let me down. Doc, who'd patched me up 100 times. Patel, safe in the drone truck, waiting for my call. You saved the future, I said slowly. But you lost them. Yes. And that's why you sent the messages. The dreams. The photo. You've been trying to change the past. For 20 years. She touched her scar, the one I didn't have yet. Every night I go to sleep, and I send another message. Most of them don't get through, but some do. The left fork, the pawn, the timer that counted backward. Why backward? Because forward is the direction that kills them. She pointed at my watch. You have 17 minutes. You can let him go and save your team, or you can stop him and save thousands of lives. But you can't do both. I looked at the chessboard. The white king, the black queen, the pawn in my hand. There's a third option, I said. There's always a third option, she replied. But it's the hardest one. I knelt beside Ramon. His eyes were open, frozen in terror. I reached into his jacket, found his phone, a satellite model with a single contact. What are you doing? The future me asked. What you should have done. I typed a message. Device compromised. Stand down. He won't listen to that. He will if it comes from his brother. I held up the phone. Tariq Rahman's contact. The brother killed in the drone strike. You said Rahman blamed us for his brother's death. But what if his brother didn't die? What if he's been hiding in Pakistan this whole time, feeding his brother intel? That's a lie. It's a lie he wants to believe. I hit send. The phone buzzed 2 seconds later. Confirm identity. I typed. The pawn reaches the other side. It becomes a clock. A long pause. Then standing down. The future me stared at me. Her face was unreadable. That's not how it happened. It is now. The pressure in the room released. Tom snapped back. Hernandez stumbled. Kowalski caught himself on the wall. Doc blinked, and Ramon's phone buzzed again. He looked at it. His face went pale, then gray, then empty. The device, he whispered. It's off. I stood up, tossed the pawn onto the chessboard. It landed on the square directly in front of the White King. You're done, I said. Your brother is alive. He just called off your bomb, and I have the comms logs to prove it. So here's your choice. You can spend the rest of your life in a cell, or you can tell us everything you know about the network. Either way, this game is over. Ramon didn't speak. He just stared at the pawn, the piece that had changed everything. Hernandez cuffed him. Kowalski cleared the basement. No device, no wires, nothing but dust and shadows. Doc checked Ramon's vitals and pronounced him fit for transport. The future me was gone, but the photo was still in my pocket. I pulled it out. The handwriting had changed one last time. Thank you. Now go home. She's waiting. I turned the photo over. The background, the city skyline, the door ajar, and through the door, barely visible, a woman's silhouette. Short hair, a scar on her left eyebrow. Not me. Someone else. Someone I hadn't met yet. Someone who, in another timeline, I'd lost. But not this one. Cross. Hernandez was at my shoulder. We need to move. The valley's going to heat up when they realize Ramon's gone. I folded the photo, slipped it into my pocket, right next to my heart. Let's go home. The convoy rolled out at 0945. The sun was high now, bleaching the world white. Behind us, the village of Nawabad sat silent, waiting for the next war, the next soldier, the next impossible choice. But not today. Today, we drove out of the valley with a prisoner in the back and a future that was finally ours to write. Patel's voice crackled in my ear. Staff Sergeant, there's something on the drone feed. What? A woman, standing on the north ridge, watching us. I didn't look up. I didn't need to. I knew who it was, and I knew what she was thinking. The pawn reached the other side. It became a clock, and the clock was finally on our side.